Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Chloe Feng. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Labor Day March missing from Hong Kong as unions petition government. Mainland visitors swarm tourist hotspots as Golden Week continues. And troubled U.S. lender First Republic Bank set to be taken over by JPMorgan. Traditional Labor Day rallies were missing from Hong Kong, but trade unions were still allowed to stage minor petitions. Many took aim at a proposal to import foreign labor, saying it will hurt local employment. Janice Low reports.
While numerous attempts to stage Labor Day rallies were all scuppered, workers' unions still made sure their voices were heard today. The Federation of Trade Unions, for example, reiterated its dismay towards the government's plan to import foreign labor. Chairman and lawmaker Kingsley Wong pointed out that Hong Kong can only develop a skilled labor force by prioritizing local employment. The city's largest trade union also demanded the authority outlaw an outsourcing mechanism commonly used to hire menial positions. It said the system deprives workers of their benefits. Occupational training should also be stepped up to equip and empower workers so they can try different jobs, the union said. The League of Social Democrats may be on the other side of the political spectrum, but today the two groups shared a united goal. Petitioning outside government headquarters in Tamar, the pro-democracy group feared the foreign labor scheme would drive down the salary of local peers. It also called on authorities to review the minimum wage annually, as well as formulate a standard working hour legislation. Chairwoman Chan Po-ying expressed disappointment that the 500-strong rally planned today had to be cancelled. She believed police were more than capable of maintaining order for a procession of that size, noting thousands of people gathered on the streets of Causeway Bay yesterday to celebrate the birthday of a pop star. Also lodging a petition was the Women Workers Association, who accused the government of turning a blind eye to the hardship of grassroots workers. They are demanding greater support for caretakers and the establishment of an unemployment subsidy. Although the minimum wage was increased by $2.50 to $40 from today, the group said the first adjustment since 2019 still lagged behind inflation. Janice Low, HKIBC.
The scenes were more vibrant across Asia as tens of thousands of people joined May Day rallies to demand a pay hike and better working conditions. Sachin Katavi reports.
Workers in Manila marched peacefully, renewing universal calls for a pay hike and improved job security. Their demands came amid the rising cost of living and economic instability, with grassroots residents struggling to make ends meet. Trade unions called on everyone to unite so they can fight for better working conditions.
All Philippine trade unions to come out of the streets, collectively celebrate the unity and strength of workers on this day, Labor Day, and to be united in calling for an urgent increase in wages.
Hundreds of riot police were on standby, even though the scenes were peaceful. Similar sentiments were voiced by demonstrators in the Indonesian capital, Jakarta. About 50,000 people took to the streets in rallies organized by different trade unions.
Kalau kondisi buruh hari ini,
working conditions were far from good. They were not even decent, said this protester. People voiced their opposition to the job creation law, which was passed in March as part of President Joko Widodo's bid to revive the post-COVID economy. The bill entices foreign businesses by making it easier to invest and operate in the country. But unions argue the perks come at the expense of workers' rights. In South Korea, workers staged a sit-in protest and blocked roads in Seoul's city center. Organizers expected more than 100,000 people to turn up for labor events across the country. Insurance, healthcare, and government workers were among those who protested in Taipei. Their common goal: higher wages and more holidays. Sachin Katwi, HKIBC.
Back locally, there were crowds everywhere around Hong Kong as tourist hotspots were busy catering to visitors from across the border. Many of them flocked to the West Kowloon Cultural District, home to 2 museums, which only opened its doors during the city's COVID lockdown. It was another day of big crowds at the West Kowloon Cultural District, Hong Kong's latest landmark. Hundreds of tourists lined up outside the M+ Museum before it even opened its doors this morning. Many of them were eager to check out the Visual Culture Hub, which opened in 2021 when the city's borders were still sealed off. This lady from Shanghai said she only had around 2 hours to spend as they had a flight to catch in the afternoon. She added she was surprised by the number of mainland tourists in Hong Kong, seeing tickets for many other attractions were sold out during her visit. Such is the demand that the M+ Museum stayed open today, unlike other Mondays when it is closed. Visitors can also purchase tickets at the scene. This visitor said she and her family came especially to check out the special exhibition of Yayoi Kusama, as her child learned about the renowned Japanese arts paintings in art classes. Many short-haul travelers, however, were drawn to the Hong Kong Palace Museum. This woman from Guangdong province hoped to catch a glimpse of the treasures of the Imperial Palace and spare her a trip to Beijing, which she felt was too far. Like the M+, the Palace Museum will cancel its regular closure day tomorrow so that visitors will not be disappointed. Domestic travel on the mainland is expected to exceed pre-pandemic levels as holidaymakers are eager to step out of their homes after 3 years of COVID restrictions. China Railway estimated over 16 million passenger trips were made today alone. Trains were so packed that even the corridors were filled up. There were huge crowds from Shanghai's waterfront area, the Bund, to the Great Wall in Beijing. The capital received nearly 2 million tourists on the first day of the holiday, double the number from last year. The China Tourism Academy estimated up to 240 million people will travel across the country during the 5-day Labor Day holiday. That represents a 20% jump from 2019. Gaming revenue in Macau continued to improve last month, reaching the highest level since COVID began. According to official data released today, gross revenue from casinos has risen for the second consecutive month to over 14.7 billion patakas, or $1.8 billion in April. That was up 15% compared to March and more than 4-fold compared to last year. Revenue exceeded 49 billion patakas in the first 4 months of the year, up 140% year-on-year. The results are expected to be even brighter this month as big spending mainland tourists occupy the gaming tables during the holiday. In other news, the government is set to announce a drastic overhaul of the district council, with the majority of seats to be appointed rather than elected. Sources suggest that while the total number of seats will remain around 480, only 20% will be selected by the public, down from over 90%. A screening process similar to that of the Legislative Council polls will also be introduced so that only patriots can run for the election. It is believed the Executive Council met today to discuss the details, and the plan could be announced as soon as tomorrow. More than half of the councillors elected in 2019 have since stepped down after authorities asked them to pledge allegiance to the Basic Law. A 30-year-old woman and her 5-year-old son have fallen to their deaths in a suspected murder-suicide in Sansui Po. Police officers were investigating at their residence in Gangnam West this morning. A building security guard notified emergency services at around 10 a.m. The pair allegedly jumped from a height and landed on the estate's platform, where they were certified dead. Police suspected the woman, a housewife, had been dealing with relationship issues. Her husband, who was out of town, has been notified of the tragedy and has since returned to assist in the investigation. No suicide note was found at their home. Overseas, JPMorgan Chase is set to take over troubled lender First Republic Bank in a deal brokered by U.S. banking regulators. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation took over the bank early this morning, marking the third time this year a U.S. bank was received by the government. It was then sold to JPMorgan, which is set to operate all 84 branches of First Republic Bank from 8 states. Clients will also have full access to their deposits, estimated at $92 billion. Another $200 billion or so of loans and securities will also be acquired by JPMorgan and shared with the FDIC. Both Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank were taken into receivership in the past months after their investments shrank in value following rate hikes by the U.S. Federal Reserve. On to the weather now. It will be overcast tomorrow with a maximum temperature of 26 degrees. Hot with sunny intervals and 1 or 2 showers in the following couple of days. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. And that is our main news for Monday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Chloe Feng. Thanks for watching. Good night.